Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is where you want to stay dialed in. 6 o'clock at pregame, a 7 o'clock. I think this is the first time we've done this, maybe ever, to have the BYU Cougars playing on these airwaves. Thanks to the presidential State of the Union address tonight over on KSL News Radio. They're pushing BYU basketball coverage of the biggest game of the year for the Cougs as they go to Iowa State, number 10 Iowa State, who have not lost in 12 tries at home, their last 12 games against ranked opponents in their place. That's a pretty good stretch. Anytime ranked teams come into your place, you beat them the last dozen times in a row, that's pretty good.
It's tough.
BYU could be the latest victim of that, or they could break that streak and extend their winning streak to 7 games in a row. They're having the best stretch right now of the season. Good time to have it as well. But right here, you can dial in. KSL News Radio is going to kick it over to here, and you're going to get your coverage starting at 6 o'clock, and tip-off is at 7, BYU versus Iowa State. Let's kick things off here officially. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Let's kick off the hour here. Let's talk some college hoops. Let's get to what BYU could do tonight in Ames if they were to get a win. Let's jump in right here with the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the show, The Cut, and it's for all your local trusted financial needs in retirement. Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your local needs from a fiduciary in your retirement. All right, JJ, who's the guy that, I mean, there's so many great stories from BYU. It's an obvious one to go, man, look at the young kid, Yegor Demon. Look at Cannon Catchings, like big names playing for this team, and yet those guys are the ones who have shined at different moments for this team during the year, but Richie Saunders is in the hunt for possibly being a Big 12 Player of the Year. Based off of the performance that he had, I think you could at least look. He's having a first-team Big 12 type of a performance this year. But the names like Mawat Mag, like even Dallin Hall, who's now starting to show up and play even in bigger moments, is a guy who was not just a role player, but now he is. He's kind of the sixth man coming off the bench. Fus Traore, who came off of a 20-point game in the win over West Virginia the other night. I mean, my goodness, JD, there are a lot of storylines in there, but all of it adds up to BYU being 12-6 right now in the Big 12. They were 10-6 last year in the conference. They have 2 more conference games tonight, starting, of course, at Iowa State, and then they come home for that finale against the Utes, come down to the Marriott Center on Saturday. So the 2 games left in this regular season for BYU before they get into Big 12 play. This is massive because it could mean the difference of them being able to get to a 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament. And that championship matchup, of course, that would give them a double bye straight into the quarterfinals. So they'd be 1 win away from a semifinal matchup and 2 wins away from being in the final. That's a great spot to be in for a team who started off this year extremely slow and now are playing their best basketball, even probably more than last year.
Massive, massive game tonight. A lot is on the line for both teams. That double bye is extremely important. You saw last year, or you've seen BYU in this show. Obviously, there's not a lot of case study here because they've been only in their second year in the Big 12. But you see what happens when you play that first game, you gut out a win, then you got to go play somebody who hasn't played, and they can just blitz you because they have energy. You just played the day before. If you're able to get that double bye, that helps you a ton. You're ready to go game 1 when the other teams had to fight and claw and scratch to get there. Sometimes the team can benefit from that, but it's hard to play at a high level 24 hours after you just played a game. So there's an advantage to that. And for BYU, when you consider where they were at in December, look, I watched that Providence game. They got blown out by a bad Providence team that's not even sniffing the tournament.
It's like a quad. It's like a quad 3 loss right there.
They looked terrible, and I'm thinking back in December, I was like, this Yegor Demon guy, what's with the hype? Wow, this isn't working very well. Man, Kevin Young, this is going to take a while for him to get adjusted to the college game. I had all these questions, and I had plenty of evidence to say that this wasn't going to work this year. Give that team credit. You start with their head coach, Kevin Young. I mean, he was a rookie college coach. He had to figure some things out. I mean, he's forgotten more about basketball than I know. So, I mean, what can I say? But it was pretty clear that they weren't clicking on all cylinders, and they weren't quite ready for prime time back in December. And I'm thinking, boy, how's this team going to overcome some of the obstacles that they're going to face in Big 12 play? And sure enough, what happened right out of the gate? What happened to this team right out of the gate? They go to Houston. They lose 86-55. And you're like, oh, boy. And then they come home, and they lose a tough one to Texas Tech. You're like, oh, boy. And then they go to TCU and lose. You're like, 1-3 out of the gate? And that wasn't even the end of it. They get that win over Oklahoma State, but then they lose at Utah. BYU doesn't lose to Utah right now, right? That was it. You're at that point where they lose on January 18th at Utah. You're thinking, there's no way this is an NCAA tournament team. There's no way. But you got to give this team credit, because since that point, what is their record? It's 10-2.
Yeah, pretty good.
And they're 12-6 right now in conference play. And you're not thinking about the tournament bubble anymore. They're beyond that conversation. It's now, can this team win the first weekend? Can they get to the Sweet 16? They're that good. They're a top 25 team right now. They're 23rd in the country.
You don't
all the analytics and everything's pointing to them earning this position that they're in, and they have a chance to really make some noise here. And if a win tonight, Alex, over Iowa State and Ames, now you're thinking bigger.
It's quite an ask of this BYU team to go into Ames. By the way, Iowa State's the 10th ranked team in the country. They're 12-6 in conference play. So is BYU. They are 2.5 games ahead of the next team in the conference, which is Kansas. Can you believe that? Kansas, Baylor, TCU, West Virginia, all of them trailing BYU in the standings. Which is
how
wild.
about that? BYU could finish ahead of Kansas in the Big 12 standings in their first 2 years in the Big 12.
Both
blows my mind.
Right, and beat them the two times that they face off against them. Right,
They have not lost to Kansas in conference play. Get out of here with that. But here we are.
Kansas is a football
here
team.
We are.
I think you know that.
Kansas is a football school
program
now. Okay.
Yeah,
Jalen Daniels. This is his year.
Yeah, maybe. This year out of the last 3. No, this one. Third year's a charm.
This is his year.
Like, Utah fans are like, geez, 3 years in a row of the same guy? They're even saying, can you believe it? Oof.
How much NIL is he getting?
Oh, it's a ton, I guarantee. My goodness. Fun game tonight with BYU and Iowa State. The question is, though, when you see a guy like Yegor Demin, I don't know what his future looks like. Like, is it a guarantee that he goes off to the NBA draft? I mean, he's a lottery pick. How is it that he is a guy who seems to, he averages 10.5 points a game, averages, shy of 4 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game. He doesn't shoot particularly well. Nobody looks at that and looks at him and goes, oh, he's a glue guy. He's 28% from 3. He's 65% from the free throw line. This BYU team, by the way, not great at the free throw line this year. But why is it that Yegor Demin commands so much of this attention when it comes to lottery picks, and he doesn't move out of these mock drafts? He's basically between 7 and 10 on most mock drafts right now.
Have you watched him pass the basketball?
I get that he has great vision or whatever.
Passer.
Yeah, but
when you get in the NBA,
assist to turnovers is not great, though.
When you get in the NBA, there is more space. He's going to be a wizard with the basketball. And he's 6'9". The dude is a Russian Magic Johnson.
Did you say that he's a wizard?
Ooh.
Is that where he ends up? Oh.
Maybe more like a king.
I was going to say. The Wizards will probably be a little bit further up that. But who knows? Yeah, I know.
Now, rookie scale. How much money would he make in the NBA?
If he's the top 7 or 8 pick? Yeah.
I'm looking that up right now. But I've heard he's making 1.5 at BYU.
That's what we've all heard, right? I mean,
is NIL enough to keep him? Because if you're a BYU fan, you're thinking, okay, he's probably lottery bound. But, man, can you imagine Yegor Demin and Cannon Ketching's back for a second year and
A.J. Debonsa?
A.J. Debonsa?
Does
and all
Richie
the other
Saunders
guys they
have a
have
seventh
coming.
year coming back? Or?
I think Richie will try to find one, especially after being their go-to guy this year. He could command a lot of money. So the eighth pick in the draft, which is I just looked at the ESPN NBA mock draft. The Sacramento Kings are at number 8, and they could pick Demon, and that would put him on the rookie scale at $6.2 million next year. You passing that up? Look, if Yegor was falling out of the lottery and his stock dropped, you'd understand him coming back.
Sure.
But his stock hasn't dropped.
Right.
Because the film doesn't lie. Now, you're right about the three-point shooting. He's not a great shooter right now. He's not even a great scorer right now. But what he can do as a playmaker is elite. And NBA teams, trust me, are in love with his playmaking, including a team across the street, the Utah Jazz.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, they love Yegor Demon. So Yegor, while it might be tempting to come back for another year at BYU, I just can't imagine him turning down what would be $28 million in guaranteed money by being the 8th overall pick in the NBA draft. He's a lottery pick. And so it's just you don't see many lottery picks say, you know what, another year of school. We watched Cooper Flagg doing the finger thing last night, one more year. His dad did it too. And Cameron Indoor's going crazy. And I'm sure last night he's thinking, man, it would be cool to come back for one more year.
Yeah, but then the season ends and then the reality sets in and you go,
okay, $57 million is the number one overall pick. $12.5 million year one.
Wow.
You're making $17.4 by year 4.
Well,
you're going to the draft.
It's generational money immediately.
Cooper Flagg checks notes, turned 18.
But see, for a guy like him, he's been dynamic from the word go, and his stock, wouldn't drop at all, right? I mean,
no. But if he went back to school,
might be the number 2 or number 3 pick next year.
I've heard that if he goes back to school and he comes back in next year's draft, he probably slips to 4th or 5th.
He promised his mom he'd get that degree.
Okay. There's plenty of summers you can go to class. Trust me.
I always remember
many guys have done it.
I know. Emmett Smith, I always remember when I was a kid, he'd be like, oh man, yeah, I got to go back and get my degree. And then we were always like, why? I get it. I get why now. It had nothing to do with the actual getting your degree part. It was more just about, telling your mom you were going to do something and doing it, right?
That's great. Good for you. But you don't turn down $57 million. You go. Iowa
State and BYU. Guesses on the line on this one?
Is it a 5.5 for Iowa State?
It is currently, right now, it is an 8.5 point game.
Even bigger than
in favor
I thought.
Of the
that's big.
Of the Cyclones. That is big. But it is a home game, and they have won 12 in a row against ranked opponents who've come into Ames. And by the way, they are fighting for something. This isn't like a 2 weeks ago game in the Big 12, which they also, they just beat teams at home. They've lost to bad teams at home. I wouldn't even say bad teams. They've lost to teams that they're supposed to be beating at home. They're 5-5 over their last 10. But when ranked teams come into Ames, they have a really difficult time, and they know that that's the vibe too. They go, look, people come in here. And did BYU go down to Arizona and beat Arizona at their place? Yeah. Did it take an insane night of 96 points and some controversy at the end to be able to get that win? Absolutely. But that's how you eke out wins in places like Tucson and in places like Ames.
Hey, if you can win at McHale Center, why can't you win in Ames?
Yeah, I get it. If you could win last year at the Fog,
yeah, why not?
Why can't you win at Iowa State this year, right?
I mean, Iowa State's really good, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they're a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, but they don't have Cooper Flagg. They're not Houston. They're not Auburn, okay? This is not an impossible task for BYU. They've got the guys. And what BYU has that not a lot of teams in the Big 12 have is depth. And they go 10 deep. Trey Stewart, how great has he been coming off the bench and continues to work hard and finds a nice role with that team. He hit a big 3 against West Virginia to help them really pull away in the second half. BYU has a lot of confidence in the guys on their team, so much so that Kevin Young in his first year as a college coach, coming from the NBA, where you demand a lot out of your players. If you're going to have them in a rotation, you got to trust them. For him to trust double-digit players to go out there and play in this rotation, it says a lot about the guys on that team and that roster that they've earned that trust. He could easily go 7 Like tighten the rotation, right? Some schools have. BYU's played teams this year that have only played 7 guys in games. He hasn't done that. He's expanded the rotation, and those guys have paid him back by playing really well.
The TGL's live in the studio here. This is Tiger Woods.
Why are you watching this?
And Rory's Golf League. Why am I watching this?
Okay.
They just got done with an interview with Celine Dion, who's watching this match.
Golf fans.
Screw you, buddy.
There's a lot of golf fans that listen. We love you. Can you send a message to me on Twitter? Explain to me why you love watching this. I feel like I'm watching the best golfers in the world at Topgolf. And I love Topgolf. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch Tiger playing Topgolf. Isn't there a college basketball game they can go to right now? Why are they doing this?
Celine Dion
The TGL.
is watching TGL right now.
Help me out, golf
yourself.
fans. Why is the TGL cool?
Because Max Homa's on the same team as Tiger Woods, man. Come on.
This is like arena football.
It kind of is. You know what? That's a great comparison.
That's exactly what it is.
I think that this stadium probably was an Arena League season or stadium at some point. All right. Celine Dion doing an interview on. I bet she had no clue what she was being interviewed or who she was being interviewed by. What's that guy's name? Marty
Smith.
Marty Smith. Hey, Marty Smith here. Hey, Celine, how you doing? Like, I do NASCAR interviews.
Dude went from NASCAR to interviewing Celine Dion on some made-up golf.
That's what I do. All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got traffic coming up here. Our own Alex Napoli is going to bring that to you. Plus, you standing by with that traffic, brother? You better be.
Is there any fresh ones out there that we need to know about?
Come on. You heard the hockey club say there's not a lot of traffic around here. You better freaking deliver. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. More to go.
Do not make Clayton Keller a liar.
97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Home tonight to the BYU Cougars, taking on the Iowa State Cyclones. It's coming up at 6 o'clock pregame. Just in a few minutes here. So top of the hour, you're going to get your pregame that you'd normally hear on KSL News Radio. But thanks to the State of the Union address, you'll be getting BYU basketball right here on your dial. We've got some tickets to give away to Utah Jazz basketball. It is a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. JJ, you know how this works. We give out the phone number. And you don't have to do anything except for be caller number 12. You don't have to answer some question. You don't have to come up with something that PK said this morning. Nope. None of it. You just have to give us the phone number, or you just have to remember the phone number, give us a call, and then be caller number 12. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. And that gets you a pair of tickets to the Jazz and the Toronto Raptors coming up on March 14th at Delta Center. All right. NFL Blitz goes like this, JJ. The Eagles have extended Saquon Barkley. Now becomes the highest paid running back in the entire league. Yes, even more than Christian McCaffrey. I think that's part of the deal. They go, what's Christian McCaffrey making? Or this is how athletes work sometimes. This is at least how their agents work, right? They go, who's the highest paid running back in the league right now? Christian McCaffrey? Okay, well, we just want to make more than Christian McCaffrey then because we're the best running back in the league.
You just won the Super Bowl because Saquon Barkley had one of the greatest seasons by a running back in NFL history. Pay the man, you did, and that was an easy decision.
And by the way, he had that year during a time when running backs are not the thing that they used to be when I was growing up watching this league. And Saquon Barkley's now going to be getting $20.8 million a year thanks to his efforts. So there you go. Saquon Barkley, the highest paid running back in the league, at least for the next 2 years.
The demise of the running back position in the NFL.
On pause.
Yeah. No, they're back. The running backs are cool again.
Okay. Are they? Because I think about it, and then I'm like, after Saquon.
Derrick Henry?
And Derrick Henry, had an amazing, phenomenal year, but at the same time, how long is that going to last? How long is it going to last for Christian McCaffrey, who seems to be injured every year? At least some portion.
Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Aaron Jones, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, James Cook all went over 1,000 yards.
Not bad.
It's good.
Not bad.
It's a good long list, and in a year where Christian McCaffrey was hurt and a couple other guys that were big names are hurt.
It's finally happened.
Alvin Kamara didn't get to 1,000. He's still one of the best.
That's
in the
right.
league, so.
Well, and the Saints, as
David
we mentioned,
Montgomery with the Detroit Lions had a great year.
Yeah, the Saints, as we mentioned today, have released Jamal Williams.
Yeah. Never
by
worked
the
out
way,
for him there. It just was not the good fit.
Yeah. No, the best version of him was Green Bay and Detroit, right?
Yep.
So Devontae Adams has officially been released by the Jets. The overhaul continues in New York. I love how this is also a storyline right here. You ready? The Jets have also given Alan Lazard permission to seek a trade. I would actually title that Jets plead with Alan Lazard to get the hell out of town.
Who are they paying to get him out of there?
The overhaul continues with Alan Lazard seeking. Oh, we'll allow you to seek a trade. I don't know who's going to want to get him, but Alan Lazard.
Whoever gets Aaron Rodgers is where Alan Lazard will land.
Oh my gosh, what a weird. Gosh, is what's his name? Oh, I can see him. Cobb. What's his first name?
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb. Is he still available?
If he hadn't retired, he would be available. He would be on that team too.
He would come out of retirement right now.
Triple threat.
Get
all the old Packer receivers back. Get the band back.
Okay,
together.
let me ask you this: who would have a better season next year at the Raiders? Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
I think he would, right? You know why? Because Gronk would come out of retirement, and so would Julian Edelman, and so would who are the other white slot receivers that he had? Get Randy Moss out of retirement to have Tom Brady throw to? Come on. I love how people just go, well, they were good. Can we get him out of retirement? It's like, geez, settle down.
Is he still around?
Oh, yeah. Just start naming a bunch of guys.
Wes Welker?
Wes Welker. That's what I was going to say. I was like, Wayne Corbett? No, he was a Jet. All right. Okay, so there you go. We've come full circle. Alan Lazard and Devontae Adams are now going to be personas non gratas in New York.
What if nobody pulls the trigger on Aaron Rodgers? What if nobody wants him?
I think nobody wants him. I don't know one.
Could this happen?
If you're like the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're going pass. Like, I mean,
I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence at this point.
Of course, like think about the worst situations in the NFL right now. Where's the worst place to be the quarterback? Like the Steelers right now. The Titans, the Giants, awful, and every one of those teams have been the top rumors of where to go. You know why?
I put the Raiders on that list.
There's nowhere else to go. Yeah, the Raiders. Ooh.
Is Lloyd in there?
Good. He doesn't want to hear this next part. That could be the best quarterback that they could get in the history of their franchise. Kenny the Snake Stabler included. May he rest. Is he no longer with us?
He is no longer with us.
Okay.
That dude looked 50 when he was 25.
They're all, show Kenny Stabler smoking a heater.
How many Camels did that guy smoke before and after games?
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a different era.
Lived a hard life.
The Vikings will not use their franchise tag on Sam Darnold. I know they were talking about it yesterday, the possibility of making that happen. What does that mean for Sam Darnold then, JJ?
I think he could still end up with the Vikings. It's just at a lower rate.
He played himself, those last two games, he played himself out of about $10 million.
Yes, he did. Well, you know what? It's funny. As good as he was last year, I never felt like he was a long-term option because they were invested in J.J. McCarthy. So where is he a long-term option? I don't know that there's a team out there right now that wants to invest the kind of money that Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence and some of these other young quarterbacks have received, even a Brock Purdy's about to get. No one's willing to invest that in Sam Darnold. Maybe that's fair. Maybe that's unfair because he actually had quite a year last year. He just didn't finish the way that he had hoped. But he's not that big investment quarterback guy. I could see him re-signing with the Vikings and battling with McCarthy for the starting job, and that's that, because I think it's going to be his best option. I don't think the money's out there for him.
I just wonder if I wonder if there's a team out there that's just going to bite because there's going to be an owner who's just is like,
what team out there looking for a starting quarterback that's not going to draft a starting quarterback this year?
Yeah.
Who's the team?
Yeah, don't you want your young quarterback to learn behind?
Are the Raiders willing to do that?
No. Come on.
Go through the list of teams. In the Steelers, they want to throw money at Sam Darnold? Just go with Justin Fields.
CeeDee Lamb, the latest of Dallas Cowboys to restructure their deal. CeeDee Lamb's going to help add some cap space for the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb has been asked to do a lot. It just feels like he's on the edge of throwing his hands in the air and just walking out. But good for the Cowboys to be able to restructure the deal with CeeDee Lamb and keep him a part of your program, because the reality is that I think everybody saw I don't know if you know this about CeeDee Lamb, JJ, but he does not hide his feelings in the current moment where he's at on these teams. And there have been some really rough goes, not just under Cooper Rush either, but also, Dak Prescott throwing the ball to him. There were some times where CeeDee was not happy.
Yeah.
And for good reason. So let me see here. Hey, my Seahawks have made some space for salary cap. It's $27 million, making several cuts, but also hitting the old...
What, did they hire Doge? What's going on in Seattle?
They're making cuts, man.
Is Elon in Seattle right now? Chop, chop.
Hey.
How'd you get $27 million off the payroll? That's creative.
Getting rid of the pork, all right? All those earmarks and porks, they're just gone. It's gone. Marty
finally canceled. Who's the coach there?
In Seattle?
Yeah, never mind. I had a joke and I blew it.
Pete Carroll?
Yeah,
what?
Sorry. See, I would have been funny if I had been able to remember the name of Pete Carroll. I'll move on.
That old guy?
Gosh dang it.
All right. Shedeur Sanders apparently is going to be visiting the Browns this week. I don't know if that's a metaphor or what are we saying here?
Is he taking them to the Super Bowl?
Come on.
I think we all do that.
Could you imagine? What is he going to do? Sit down with Deshaun Watson? How have you liked your time here?
Do you have a recommendation for a massage therapist?
Oh, get out of here, JJ.
I heard you know a guy.
How dare you? How
Or
dare
gal.
you? My goodness. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders, I'm just going to tell you right now, stay away from that franchise. There's a reason that the best player they've had in the past 10 years is like, please get me out of here.
Isn't there a list of like 40 quarterbacks since Bernie Kosar?
Oh, the quarterbacks aren't even
gone?
I mean, look. Myles Garrett is like, I'm not going to deal with you guys. I don't want any kind of extension talk. Don't even get down that road. You could throw all the money in the world at me. I do not want to be here. So there you go. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got, we have best and worst next, and we're going to get you ready for BYU basketball. Yes, you heard me right. Stay right here at 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Best and worst on the program. Thanks for being with us on the show. JJ and Alex. Brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships. Dodge, Ram, Chevy, Subaru, Kia, and now Mitsubishi and American Fork. JJ, the best. We mentioned it earlier. Isaiah Collier, your NBA Rookie of the Month for the West. And there you go. But also, did you see this email? Yeah, we both saw this before we came in.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
University of Utah just got an anonymous. Wouldn't it be nice to be anonymous? An anonymous $14 million estate gift to the University of Utah Athletics Women's Athletics Fund. Pretty dang cool. Awesome. We don't know who you are, and you're not supposed to be known who you are, but $14 million is not insignificant. Not insignificant, JJ. That's awesome.
Yeah, women's athletics at Utah will benefit greatly from that gift. That's awesome.
BYU versus Iowa State. How do they get the win in Ames tonight, JJ? Very quickly.
Keep doing what they've been doing. Lean on their depth, play really good basketball, play with fun, play with the energy that they've had. They're having fun playing basketball right now.
Let's get it going. You're going to hear that coverage right now. You're going to get pregame right now, tip-off, BYU basketball on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We'll be back again tomorrow for JJ and our producer Alex. I'm Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.